Let's do it. Hey guys, what's going on? Wow. My name's Chris. I'm your dad next door, and today we are blessed. We are blessed with the ability to have an opportunity to give ourselves the review of a lifetime with the Shure SM7B dynamic broadcaster microphone. For those of you that are not familiar, this is pretty much your cream of the crop broadcaster mic. You will see this on video versions of podcasts, in studios, everywhere you can think of. And as a content creator, this is one of those mics that can and probably would be your forever mic. It probably would be mine if I owned it. And with that, I would like to say, Alex, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to review your microphone. This thing is absolutely, as I smack it, look at that there. This thing is absolutely fabulous. This microphone to me is something I dream that I will eventually get to acquire. Maybe I'll buy yours from you someday. We'll find out. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to create this video today. Everybody, give a shout out to Alex and check out his content down in the description of the video. I will have a link to his page and his streaming content and things like that he does some awesome stuff, and hopefully he'll be using this microphone in the very near future. If you happen to be interested in picking up this microphone sometime in the near future, this can be got on Amazon, B&H Photo, Sweetwater, all these various sites for about $3.99 at the time of review. So it is not your budget entry-level microphone, but it is going to be your, above all, end of the locker kind of broadcaster microphone for most content creators. As far as the microphone itself, you have the beautiful mounting system that this thing comes with. Bracket where you have the 3/8 and everything, and a nice threaded connector on top. Being able to adjust that on the fly pretty easily. You have this whole mounting system for the microphone itself, so you can adjust it. One of my favorite things about this microphone, and I think everybody kind of picks out, is the way the XLR cable mounts to this. Just happens to be, one of the most ingenious ideas. They run this wire from the back of the microphone and mount the XLR port to the mic arm, so that way you don't have to run your cable to the back. Keeps your setup a little more clean and easier to manage. There are no buttons on the microphone itself, but on the rear you will find two switches for almost equalization. You have your bass roll-off switch and your presence boost switch, as they call it. The bass roll-off is starting around 80 hertz, and the presence boost is from around 1,000 to about 9 kilohertz. So that is it as far as the design of the microphone and what it is. I will say that when I weighed it, it came in around 863 grams, which makes it one of the heaviest microphones we've yet weighed. So you want to make sure that your boom arm is ready to hold this thing up. It kind of makes mine flex a little bit, and it's kind of hard to get mine to stay in position. There's a little sag and stuff, but overall it's a good heavy mic that's going to be durable and it's going to last you. As always, everything in this video is going to be pre-processing. There are no filters applied, nothing set up here at all, no EQ, normalization, anything yet. At the very, very end of the video, I might do some. Maybe if I do, I'll put some annotations on the screen for you guys to be able to know exactly what I did. Now, as far as the big question that a lot of people get with the SM7B is, how much gain do I need? What kind of mixer do I need? What kind of setup do I have to have in order to run a microphone like this? And I will say that with my Behringer 802 mixer that I have right now, the Behringer Xenix Q802, I currently have my gain set to about 50 dB. And with that 50 dB right here down at the bottom of the screen, you can see the levels that I'm operating at and how it's working for us. So 50 dB gives you a good amount of gain. Technically, to get to zero, I think they say 60 dB is required, or 63 or something like that. So realistically, if your mixer or your interface can't put out at least 60 dB, you're going to want to look at a cloud lifter or a FET head or something that gives you a little bit of gain boosting. What is gain boosting? I might do another video to have more technical aspects of that in the future, but really quick information is basically it takes the 48 volt signal that you would normally get with a condenser microphone and converts it into additional gain for your dynamic microphone. Speaking on that, this is dynamic, so it doesn't require any phantom power. So technically it could be used on a mixer that doesn't have phantom power available to it. But again, usually today, most smaller mixers that don't have phantom power aren't going to be able to produce enough gain to be able to justify that, or to be able to use this microphone with effectively. You're going to get too quiet sound, or it's just not going to sound clean, and that just means you're not giving it enough oomph to allow it to do what it needs to do. Now let's go ahead and do our plosive test here. This does have built-in pop filter, built-in windscreen, and actually inside of it there's a cage or an extra casing that separates the coil from the edge of the housing, I guess I want to say. Much similar to a standard dynamic, but I mean, it's just a little bit of extra room there, extra gap for the air to stop. So I'm really hoping this does well on the plosive test. I will do it once without a pop filter, and then I'll hold up a standard pop filter to it. But Peter picked lots of peppers in Paul's patch. Peter picked lots of peppers in Paul's patch. And now I have here just a standard generic little fly swatter style pop filter. Peter picked lots of peppers in Paul's patch. Peter picked lots of peppers in Paul's patch. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you that proximity effect is a huge thing for this microphone. You're going to want to get that deep, rich sound. You're going to want to really hear everything. So you're going to want to be right up on top of this guy, and you're going to be wanting talking really, really close to it. And realistically, a lot of times to get that full SM7B sound, they're pretty right. You're going to want to be really close to this microphone, and it's got a very, very interesting effect with proximity, so that way you can kind of determine exactly what you're doing here. I'm not being super loud, but you should have an opportunity to see just by the meter. It does get a little aggressive even when you get close to it. Now, I will a little later play with the roll-off switches and see how those affect the sound, but this is just to show proximity is a big thing here. And even though a lot of people say that it's not as impacted by proximity, I personally think there is a big difference between being, just a few inches off and getting the right sound to being right up on top of it as well, right? I just totally clipped the meter out there on that one. So, you just got to be able to play with it and be able to work with it whichever way you want. Now I'm going to take my steps back, do my opportunity to show you the difference there when you're walking backwards with this microphone. I'm going to turn it just a hair this way so it points towards me. And now I'm about 2 feet away from the microphone here. And this dynamic, I think we'll see very, very fast roll off on. We're going to go about 4 feet away from the microphone now. There's not a whole lot to tell you about this. And now I'd say we're about 6 feet away from the microphone back here. And I'm basically yelling to get to keep the meters from being fallen off. I definitely think any broadcaster style microphone is going to be very impacted by your distance because they're designed to be up close to them. You want to be right in front of this microphone. You want to be near it. You want to love this microphone. That's what it's designed for, right? You want to kind of be close to it. Now you do have the ability to do your off-axis speaking on this microphone. Talk towards the capsule, maybe just past it at a 45 degree or something like that. So that way it's not covering your face in front of the camera or something. I think you do have an excellent ability to do that. But again, talking directly into it, you're always going to get the best sound. Now this microphone is cardioid pullard patterned. So we're going to do a quick rotation around it. It's going to be the same regardless of what side. So I'm just going to go this way and talk around it at about a 45 degree or 90 degree angle here. You can kind of hear the way this works. And I'm going to rotate it this way and talk behind it and kind of show you just exactly what this sounds like. Talking around it and just behind the microphone, I'm going to rotate it back to 90 so you guys can hear that, and then come back towards me again. And you should see that the coloration is pretty good, I'd say, up until maybe about 60 degrees. And then once you hit 90, you really start to see that sharp roll off. I think the puller pattern on this, they did a really good job. It kind of makes it to where you just, again, you got to get the audio sound going towards it, but you have limited coloration going in other directions there. Whereas on some microphones, as soon as you get off axis, just a little bit, it just, all the quality of what you're trying to say just falls off. Shure configures this microphone to have a bass roll-off and what they call a presence boosting switch. So right now I have this microphone set up to have a straight flat curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the bass roll-off, show you that, and then I'll flip it back to normal, do the presence boost, and then I will apply them both at the same time. So here we go with the bass roll-off first. And here we go. You can see the difference in the roll-off here with the bass. I personally, with my voice, I think it makes a big enough difference that I don't like the bass roll-off. I don't have a very loud room. I don't have a lot of booms, bumps, bangs, any kind of thing like that. But if you did and you had a lot of ambient noises coming into the room, you typically would use this bass roll-off to help hide some of the ambient sounds that are being generated within your space. So now we have our presence boost applied, which looks like it adds maybe about 5 dB in between the 1,000 varying frequencies between the 1,000 and 10,000 kilohertz range. Now, the one thing about this is they have made looks like a good setup to allow it to kind of drop off before the sibilance frequencies around 7 to 9K, so the boost isn't as strong in that range to kind of keep your S's and things from being too aggressive with this presence boosting. But we're going to go ahead and just show you that. Now I'm going to apply both the bass roll-off and the presence boost. And now we have both applied, presence boost and bass roll-off, to show you what they sound like when they're both applied. So this should have some difference here in the way the microphone sounds from our original recording, and I'm hoping that you guys notice the difference here. It's not going to be nearly as deep on my voice, probably be a little sharper. I typically have a lower tone in my voice, so it's usually not as noticeable in the presence range, but sometimes that actually helps me out because of the way that I speak or my vocal patterns. So hope that works out for you guys. Let's see what you guys think and let me know. And now we have our microphone back to our flat curve. No real issues anymore there. The one last test that I'm going to do here today is just going to be a ambient noise test here. I'm going to just let it be kind of silent for a second, show you what the noise being picked up by the microphone is, and it should be pretty quiet. I think it's typically not that much hum or anything like that from the room. I do have my PC fans running, so we might pick up a little bit of that, but other than that, it's pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot of extra noise from the microphone itself. And you can see during that quiet phase, at least from my meters, it's showing minus 55, which is typically, that's pretty quiet, even with the amount of gain that I have applied. Usually most microphones that I do will show around minus 50, minus 45 range, depending on your condensers and things like that typically always have some kind of hum in them due to the electrical components. I have had a few go to where they're completely off the chart if they're USB or something, but I think the USB ones typically have some kind of circuit. They have some kind of built-in gate to the really low levels to try to keep from influence or noise in the line itself. So this is going to conclude my review of the Shure SM7B and my just kind of play-by-play on the features of it, how it works, everything that's going on with it. I want to know what you guys think, what it is, how it sounds. If I did a good review, you guys got to let me know what's going on. Just drop some links, comments, descriptions, anything like that in the bottom of the video. Let me know what you think about this dynamic microphone that I think is just pretty fabulous. I mean, this thing here will probably end up in my locker one day, hopefully soon. Again, Alex, thank you so much for letting me borrow this. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to get it back to you as soon as I can. With that, guys, my name is Chris. I'm your dad next door, and we will check you next time.